What's up, guys? It's Patricia from TarantulaHeaven.com. We have Miss Spidey over here, my G Rosea. It's a little bit of a strange setup today because I have the jealous cat right over here in her little white tent in the background. So she may come out at some point during this video. I hope she does make an appearance, or I hope that Spidey moves around for you guys so you can have something fun or cute to look at. Today I wanted to talk about tarantula softness. How soft are tarantulas? And the reason I'm making this video is because, one, to allow people to know that tarantulas are actually very, very sweet and nice to touch, but to also kind of do a public service announcement about just because they're soft doesn't mean that you should touch them, and to kind of give a warning about that. My hope is that perhaps newer tarantula owners or people who want to be tarantula owners might be looking for some of this information on the internet or on YouTube specifically, and that I can kind of help guide them towards a more appropriate pet or a more appropriate, more realistic view of tarantulas. So I've spoken about this before, and in the beginning of my tarantula journey, I actually held Spidey quite a bit in my first year of having her, and that was a huge mistake. Spidey really likes to be left alone. She is the happiest when I don't even touch her or really open her tank too much, besides to give her water or feed her. She really doesn't need any of that interaction, and she prefers not to have it. So part of me becoming a better tarantula owner has been respecting that and learning to satisfy my needs that I get from this hobby, from just loving her from afar, or, you know, being close to her, but she's safe in her enclosure and I'm not bothering her. So I did touch her quite a bit in my first year. I was holding her a lot. I would even pet her. And I feel kind of bad about that now, because I didn't actually know that that was probably pretty stressful for her, or that she at least definitely did not need that kind of interaction and didn't get any type of enjoyment from that. But I will say that as somebody who has pet a tarantula before, and held one before, that it's actually quite a magical experience. Holding a tarantula, their little feet and their little claws, sometimes when they're extended, feel very, very delicate and soft, but you can still kind of feel a little bit of scratchiness. Tarantulas are very light usually, unless you've got one of those really big ones. Spidey, I would think, is like, she's a little bit large, but she's not nearly, I would say she's a medium-sized spider. She is by no means small, but she's not a Goliath bird eater side either. She's somewhere in between as an adult or elderly tarantula. But I will say that, you know, aside from being, you know, having like that little pitter-patter feeling, little, I think someone called it like an 8-legged little fluffy hamster walking across you, the top of her body is very, very soft. If you were to touch her, I'm trying to think of how I might describe it. So I think if you were to take a soft paintbrush or like one of those really fluffy makeup brushes and touch one of them and just kind of put your finger through them, you could get very similar type of feeling. It's very, very soft. But because tarantulas have a hard exterior or exoskeleton underneath the fur, you get a little bit of resistance in there too. I mentioned the paintbrush and the makeup brushes so that you can do that instead and imagine what it's like to touch a tarantula instead of actually touching a tarantula. I would say not the tarantula's entire body's like that. So on that midsection, right before their butt, if you think of a tarantula's body as like a figure 8, that top part is actually not soft. The fur on there is quite different. It seems to be more stiff or firm. So if you pet that, you're not going to get the same feeling. But on their bum and on their legs, they are very, very soft. The hair is very fluffy, but just be careful because they also have urticating hairs, those itchy hairs. So not all of the hair is that nice fluffy softness fur. So like I said, I mentioned the makeup brushes and the paint brushes because I don't actually want you to be encouraged from watching this video to touch a tarantula and find out for yourself. There are ways that you can get the same feeling and just to know for your own knowledge that tarantulas are very soft. The reason you don't want to do that, despite what you may see on the internet or on Facebook or on TikTok about people holding their tarantulas, petting their tarantulas, putting them on their shoulders, on their face, all sorts of stuff, these animals really do enjoy their solitude. They actually get quite stressed from interaction with humans or anybody, to be honest. So think of tarantulas as like your most introverted, nerdy friend, and they really just are quite happy to be on their own. They are not going to be a pet that seeks you to touch them or comfort like a cat or a dog. They really don't, they're really not wired like that as far as we know. And my experience, because I know that there's a lot that we don't know about tarantulas, my experience is that that is true. Spidey, I've had her for, I don't know, 8 years. She has never once given any inclination that she knows that I exist. So, despite the cute pictures and stuff and the stories that I have from my observations of her, food just magically appears and water just magically appears in the enclosure, and it's cleaned. I don't exist, and you will not exist either, likely. So that's my take on it. So I know that as tarantulas get more popular on the internet, we do see more pictures and more things about us humanizing these creatures or making them more like cats or dogs. And I am guilty of that too. I love to think of Spidey as a creature who I actually have a two-way bond with, but deep down I know that that's not true. And you may feel the same. My inclination is to just encourage you that if you were thinking about getting a tarantula, certainly get one. They are amazing pets. They are amazing creatures. But know that this is not, no matter how soft and how precious or beautiful or fascinating a tarantula is, you don't have to touch them. And honestly, you probably shouldn't, for your health and for the health of your spider. This is often how accidents happen, whether that means you get haired in the face, or you get bitten, or your tarantula falls, or they get stressed out. Oh, we have the jealous cat. She's eating treats that I left right beside Spidey's tank. Anyway, so that is my little PSA. I wanted to let you guys know that tarantulas are very soft, just in case this might dispel some fears that you have around them. They are not the ferocious creatures we make them out to be, but they are wild animals and they do deserve to be respected. And just wanted to give you that food for thought. Yes, very, very soft, very, very lovely. But just because they're soft doesn't mean that you should touch them. So if you are feeling that urge, I advise you to pick up a makeup brush or a paintbrush, and you should always have a paintbrush anyway, or like something soft to kind of nudge your tarantula if you have to do any cleanings in the tank or give them any water. You can kind of gently nudge them out of the way. So, if you have a paintbrush for that reason anyway, you can always just kind of brush it against your hand and get the same feeling. But anyway, I hope that me making a video about like what does a tarantula feel like or how soft is a tarantula actually attracts some people who are thinking about touching their tarantulas and guides them the other way. But anyway, let me know what your thoughts are, and I will see you next week for Tarantula Tuesday. Take care. Bye-bye.